I'm Jacklyn Drake, manager of direct-to-consumer media strategy and on-air reporter for NASCAR, and this is Her Table.
Now you see her.
You are magnificent!
Welcome to Her Table, the podcast that shines a spotlight on the badass women who are redefining the game. Join hosts Kate Foley and Megan Martinez as they unlock the secrets of success from the brightest female pioneers in the industry.
Welcome back to Her Table. We have another amazing episode for you today. I am so excited to have NASCAR on-air reporter and TV host Jacklyn Drake on the show. She covers short track racing both digitally and live on the pit road.
Not only is Jacklyn seen on camera, but she is also a manager with direct-to-consumer strategy for NASCAR. She works closely with the streaming partners and event promotions and manages the media strategy and broadcast rights. She's also a play-by-play announcer where she primarily covers the Bowman Gray Stadium. And she was a race car driver herself since age 6. What can she do? I mean, seriously.
She is amazing. Jacklyn became the first female to join the Cars Tour broadcast as a booth announcer on Flow Racing. I love to hear that. And I'm so excited for our listeners to learn more about Jacklyn's story and how she has found success in the sports world. Let's get to it. Jacklyn, pull up a chair at Her Table.
All right. Well, I am so excited we have you on here today, Jacklyn. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey guys, thank you so much for having me. I know we've been trying to put this together for a while, and I'm glad to finally be able to jump in and see you both and join Her Table.
Well, welcome. Welcome. And you are in Charlotte, North Carolina right now, right?
Yes, that is where I live, originally from Texas, but I've been living here for about 11 years now.
Okay, what's better, Taco Bueno or Bojangles? Because
I do not eat Bojangles. I'm sure I'm sure people are already gonna not like me. I just don't. I'm not a biscuit person either, and the Bo biscuit grosses me out. It's not for me. I don't go to Bojangles.
I'll like Zaxby's biscuits for you. I'll just go ahead and throw myself on that sword. The Bo biscuits I'm here for them. At least
Waffle House. Them up.
Waffle House? Can we get Waffle House?
Yeah. Oh yeah, we have Waffle House in Texas, and when I grew up racing, we would go to Waffle House after they were over because it's really the only restaurant that's open at midnight or 1 a.m. And I've always been a fan of Waffle House, so that's nothing new. But just not the Bojangles. It just doesn't do it for me.
Okay, well, I'll just be over there on my Bojangles Island by myself.
I was like, I've never tried it, so I can't speak on this. So.
Okay, Megan, you're in it. I'm taking Megan. She's going to be the deciding factor.
She's all right. I'm not a biscuit there, though, so I might be on Jacklyn's team, but we'll see. We'll see. Not. They also make heart-shaped Bo biscuits during February. Yeah, they really do try. I'll give it to them.
She likes the aesthetic of them, just not the actual consumption.
Yeah.
Let's be clear. Let's be clear. Well, I want to get to know all about you and who you are and what you've been up to. So can you kind of talk to us a little bit about what inspired you to start your career in sports?
Well, for me, sports started whenever I was 6 weeks old. My parents took me to my first ever racetrack. My dad was racing, and I fell in love with motorsports from that point on. I was a toddler playing in the dirt, organizing the toolboxes. I had my box full of cars and my friends and my brother. And so it started as something we did as a family every single weekend. And then as I got older, we started competing. Both my brother and I would travel again every single weekend, but this time we were behind the wheel. So I don't actually ever remember the first time I went to a racetrack or the first time I fell in love with sports, but it was literally my life for the very beginning. I haven't had a weekend where I wasn't involved with sports ever. So whenever I stopped competing, which is when I went off to college, I decided that I still wanted to be involved. I missed being at the racetrack. I missed that adrenaline. Being a part of live sports is, for me, a mix of feeling at home and then also a lot of excitement and emotions. And I liked being a part of that. And that's why I started doing more freelance marketing for my friends that were still racing. And then ultimately I'm like, okay, I want to make this into a career. And then I made the move from Texas to North Carolina to make it into my full-time career. So yeah, I wish I could pinpoint that moment. A lot of people have those memories of the first time they ever fell in love with sports, or the first time they ever went to a basketball game or a football game. But I just don't have that with racing. It was just, all right, this is what we're doing, and this is our life now.
I went to a NASCAR race 2 weekends ago now, and the first time I ever went, I was not prepared for the level of fan engagement that NASCAR offers. It is, Megan, you have to go with me. Like, it is breathtaking to literally see we're talking 20,000 people. Let's just be honest with ourselves. 20,000 people sitting, watching cars drive in a circle. Like, there's no, you know what I mean? It is a full on, you're all good. It's fine.
Sorry about that.
No stress. I'm sure I'm like, told my kids, I'm like, don't come out of your rooms. I said, stay in there. It is a full time, like, you sit and you watch for like 4 hours, but it is such a show and a production. I mean, there must be, how many people, Jacklyn, go to, some people do this every weekend. Like, this is their life. They retire and they just travel and watch NASCAR. What is the average like fan capacity that goes into NASCAR each week?
So it varies depending on where the races are. Each facility has different capacities that they can handle. Obviously, Daytona 500 is huge. It'll be sold out months within advance. The one that you went to, Phoenix Raceway, that one's huge. The championship goes there, so it'll be sold out. And so those numbers change per the facility and what they can offer. But you're right, there is a lot of people that travel each weekend. They will follow the schedule. They'll go all over the country. They have their favorite drivers they see. They check in every single weekend. You can get passes to go to the garage. You can be on the pit road and see them changing the tires and doing those pit stops. And then, of course, there's lots of track experiences, not the NASCAR experience where you can engage. There's Q&As where you can meet and greet, get autographs. So there really is a lot of activation that goes into it every single weekend. And then obviously too, they really lean into getting kids involved. It's family friendly. They want the next generation to learn more about these drivers and get them to understand what all is a part of motorsports, so then they do become forever fans. And it's truly amazing. I'm so glad that you got to go and experience it for your first time, because I tell anybody, I'm like, if you've never been to a race before, you have to go and you have to sit. You got to go in the grandstands, you have to go in the garage, you got to eat some food, you got to be a driver, and then you'll realize why it is such a special sport.
It's just wild because like they're getting ready to do like in NFL, Megan, no one is doing Q&As, meet and greets, photo ops with fans before NFL. They're not doing it before NBA unless it's, you know, a scheduled event. But like the regular fan cannot get access for Megan and I's lanes, right, on game days. But in NASCAR, a regular fan can purchase a garage ticket or a VIP ticket or whatever that elevated experience is and literally be in the garage standing next to this driver who is going to go, you know, be an athlete for hours. I was amazed by that. And I was also amazed the level of athlete these guys in the pit are. Like, I am so sorry. I thought they were just like, whatever, changing a tire. Like, they are, most of them, ex-professional athletes. A lot of them come from the NFL, Megan. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they're like athletes themselves. They train like 3 and 4 times a week. They have, I mean, it is, I'm like, I saw a bunch of guys that were like, I like this. This is cool, whatever. Like, they are full on athletes. And I'm like, what?
That's awesome. I had no idea. The one time I ever went to a NASCAR race, I was living in Texas for a bit. And I was up like in like this, almost like the suite area, just because my dad had like this company was sponsored. So I've never been down in the pit. And so when I saw Kate was doing that, and then I've seen all of your stuff, Jacklyn, that you're out there in the pit and everything, like, it's so fascinating. And I had no idea that they were such great athletes too. Like, that's so cool. I love that.
Yeah. And I want to hit on that for a second. The pit crew in general, right? And really just racing. So it's not just the driver. You have your crew chief, you have your engineers, and then you have all of your shop guys that are working Monday through Friday on these cars, sometimes on the weekends to get them prepared and turned around for the big races. When they go from East Coast to West Coast, you have the truck drivers that are staying up all night. It really is a team effort. Now, you need to have a good driver that gets in there and they get it done, and you need to have good engineers that are able to take the information back they're hearing on the radio and make the adjustments. The pit crew obviously coming into play play. There's pit crews that have won championships for drivers because they're the fastest. They got it done the quickest and got them out first. They got the track position. So it really is a team effort. And I think that that's really amazing. It's all the different gear pieces, all the different spokes that come together for it to happen. The win isn't just the driver. Oftentimes they make great decisions, right? And they are able to close it all together. But the team that comes together for the championships that gets, the dominating wins, it's not just him, it's all the people that were supportive of him leading up to that. So I think that's really amazing. And when you learn more about NASCAR and you learn more about motorsports, and then you dive into the strategic behind the scenes of, well, that, the crew chief made this decision. If you would have made that decision, maybe they would have won the race. You just get so acclimated in it. Similar to NFL, you start learning more about the players. You start learning how their personality is, how they trained. But this time in NASCAR, there's so many different factors, and it's kind of fun. It's just many more layers to the puzzle.
Okay, so I want to dive into you driving, because you were a driver, are a driver, championing this for women. Walk us through, what are you doing when you're in the car? Like, you're in there for an extended period of time. So, walk us through what goes on inside the car, what is inside the car, simple questions. How do you go to the bathroom? How do you, I mean, seriously, this sounds dumb, but I want to know, because there's some young girls I want to be a driver, but I don't know. How do I start? What does it take? Do you have to be in a space where you're in a car for 4 hours? So what was your experience as a driver, and what did it take for you to be able to accomplish what you needed to in that capacity?
So for B, I started so young that there's different levels, right? I started when I was 6. So I started at a local go-kart track, and you're just doing maybe 20 laps or so in those feature events. My dad was already very car savvy, so he worked on my car, but there are a lot of dads and families out there that don't have that type of skill set. So in North Carolina, you'll see a lot of families that do come here and they're like, my kid wants to be a driver, and then they will hire people to work on their car, or they'll go race for a team that has all the equipment. We didn't have that. So my dad built my cars. We would help build, work on them and build them and get them ready for the track, as well as my brother. As I got older and we became more competitive, we're in quicker cars, we're kind of moving up into the age ranks and moving up into quicker cars. You do have a physical aspect that you need to take into consideration, keeping your cardio up to speed, getting your arm strength, because I struggled with getting worn out in the seat. So, and as a woman, I don't have very big arms. So I needed to do my workouts and make sure that I could withstand it, especially when I moved into late models, which has power steering. If we lost power steering, it made it 10 times harder for me to turn the steering wheel. So anything I could do during the week to be physically capable and get in a good, a mindset, both physically and mentally, on hey, I'm going to be able to withstand it if something does go wrong in the car, was really important. And I'm trying to answer all your questions here. But so when I would get to the track, we would do practice sessions and qualifyings and things like that. A lot of times it is really hot. You're sweating a lot. I raced primarily in Texas. So inside the car was anywhere between 110 to 150 degrees Fahrenheit. So you're sweating quite a bit. Wow. You're shifting, in the clutch. When you're restarting, I don't think a lot of people realize this, but you are restarting in a lower gear and then shifting. That takes some time and learning how to do that. Sometimes when you see cars get stacked up, maybe one lane during a restart gets stacked up, it's because that person missed a shift. So you do have to, become better skill set at that. If it's a road course, people are shifting down, they're shifting up. There's a lot more to that. And then in the late model side, we were doing anywhere from 100 to 150 or 200 lap races. So again, back to the physical side, I will say there was many times where my dad, when the race was over, he would pull me out of the car because I was just mentally and physically exhausted, because you're focusing nonstop. The same thing with these cup drivers, what you're talking about. They are athletes. You're sitting there nonstop concentrating on the people in front of you, the people behind you. You have a spotter in your ear. You're trying to get your shifts right. You're trying to get your restarts right. You're trying to hit your marks on the track perfectly and consistently every single time. There's a lot of factors. There's gauges that are telling you if it's overheating, if there's something wrong, if you need to come in. You're constantly being fed time and information, like that lap was slower than the last lap. And then you're thinking, well, what did I do wrong? What do I need to do better? They're telling you where you can do better, where this person's better, if there's a car behind you. There's so much information that's being fed to you while you're also processing yourself and what you're doing in the seat and how to be better, which makes for extremely competitive and agile athletes, because you have all of this all the time coming at you, and you have to think about how to process that information and what's the most important within a split second, because these guys are going 200 miles an hour drafting. We didn't even talk about the drafting thing, but drafting and having to make split decisions.
Wow. So you're not in there listening to Rihanna, basically, is what you're saying. There's no Beyonce, Rihanna. There's no playlist in your ear, and you're just on a Sunday drive living your best life. Mm-hmm. There's like actually people talking. Do you ever just shut them off? Or are you just like, okay, I can't like earpiece out. I need to just like, do you? I would have be like, enough. The chirping has to go. I need a little, I like to listen to music.
Yeah. A lot of times
vibe on when I'm in there.
Right. A lot of times you can just say to your spotter, hey, like, leave me alone. But,
shut up.
Yeah.
She's, nice. She's like, please stop talking. I'm like, bitch, shut up. I'm done. Yeah.
There has been times where, especially if you're having radio issues, which happens actually quite often, where it's cutting out, the antennas aren't working, and you're just hearing like broken words, where I just turn it off. And I'm like, we'll deal with this later. And that can be a little bit scary, because then you're driving blind. You're not having someone who's telling you everything that you really need to know. But if you're in a situation where you don't really need that right now, then yeah, you could turn it off. And you know what, Kate, you're not wrong. There are many times where you're on the radio and the aggressiveness comes out and you're not the nicest on the radio. That's totally normal.
You're like, I've heard this for the last 15 laps. I'm going to need you to just, you just mute them. And you're like, enough. Oh my God. What do you eat before what you can't eat while you're driving? What do you, is there like a nutrition plan that goes into what you eat before a race?
There is. I typically eat something pretty light. I'm not, I need a burger. I'll eat something kind of light. But I will be honest, there's been many races that I've done where I'm too nervous to eat. So I just maybe will have something small for breakfast, and I really won't have anything until I get out. I'll drink plenty of water and Gatorade, get hydrated and things like that. But I'm not eating too much before I get in there. That's not for me.
Jacklyn, when you're competing, are you going against other females? Is it males too? Are you the only woman that's out there on the track? Like, kind of take us through that too. And like, I guess also kind of touch on what it's like being a female driver, because we don't know many of them. We don't see them. It's not common. And that's such a huge accomplishment.
Yeah. So that is a loaded question, because when I first started racing many, many moons ago, I was the only girl there. And I mean that as in, like, I'm the only girl. There may be a couple of moms. My mom was there, but there's definitely nobody that's in the driver's seat. And the sisters of all these other boys I'm racing against, they're off doing something else that same race day that their brother is racing. So when I was growing up, it was really hard for me to even make friends, because it's all boys. And I remember I would buy Pokemon cards, because all the boys are really into Pokemon cards, and I wanted to trade with them. I wanted them to be friends with me. So I'm like, if I buy these, then they'll want to hang out with me. But yeah, nowadays you do see women in all facets of motorsports. You see them working on the PR side, you see them on the marketing side, you see them on the broadcast, and there are drivers, and it's still far and few. There may be 2 or 3, but it's nowhere near the size that there are men. And I've realized I recently just did a conference. It was an international women's conference, and the number one thing that people came up and said to me was, I did not realize that you were competing against 95% men. I thought that you were competing in a series of all women, because there are different women's series that are international in motorsports, and they're used to seeing that. And I'm like, no, this is something that is slowly more women are getting involved in, having interest in, but no, there's only a few of us that are out there doing it. And there are a lot of challenges that come with that. It's become much better, like I said, nowadays, that the conversations are had and that women are able to be each other's support system and you have people to reach out to so that you're not alone. But it is definitely tough at times.
Wow.
Was that difficult for you as a female? I mean, Megan and I both sit in male sports, right? You do too. Was it difficult for you to have the, the courage and the confidence to continue to kind of keep showing up, is what we say, right? Sometimes it's easy to walk away. Can you talk to us about maybe something that you experienced that was challenging that you had to overcome as a driver? And then the same question, something that you experienced on the broadcasting side as a female in male sports.
Yeah, the first thing that comes to mind as a driver is when I was growing up, my first race car ever was pink and purple. Those were my favorite colors. And
I love it. It was her table way back in the day. You didn't even know. You manifested this for us, Jacklyn.
Yeah, exactly. So my favorite color is 6-year-old me. And as I got older, we had talked about changing the team colors to red and black. And I remember vividly thinking as a child, I go, good, they won't know that I'm a girl. I will get in the car. It'll be red and black. My helmet will be on. They won't see my hair and they won't race me differently. I'll be able to pass them and it'll be fine. They won't try to block me extra. They won't try to make me not succeed. We went on and won over 300 races in the time that I was racing every single weekend. And that made a lot of people uncomfortable because it just wasn't accepted. My racing nickname was Fast Jack. So they didn't know that I was a girl. And many, many times they just never knew until I got out and pulled my helmet off. And then they saw all my hair and they realized that I was a girl. And I liked that because I was the underdog all the time. They had no idea. As a kid, I don't think I realized the magnitude of it as much as when I got older. When I was a kid, I'm just like, cool. Yeah. Like, whoa, I showed them. I have no idea. But now as an adult, and I think back to me hiding my identity in a way in order just to be treated fairly, I guess is the term for that.
Or the same, right? Just to be treated equal, right?
Yeah. And I think that right there is where you hope that there's change.
Yeah.
If I'm a bad racer, you don't have to like me, but I'm racing you just as fairly as the next guy. So I deserve the same on-track respect as he did. I shouldn't have to cover up who I am. I did a race back in 2021 and we did like my helmet. We did a whole like helmet painting. And I remember we wanted to do it ice themed. And my thought was I wanted it to be like I'm breaking out of the ice of what I feel like I've been iced as my entire racing career of like, this is who you are and this is the only thing you'll be. And it's like, no, you can be anything you want. You can break through that barrier, literally be anything you want and be proud of who you are to do that. So I'm derailing a little bit. That was kind of like my younger self that I dealt with.
It's so crazy to hear you talk about how you had to change who you are. And I think a lot of young girls, it's so impactful for them to hear that because there is this stigma of like, they're not going to accept me for me. Or even then, like, I'm sure there are coaches and people of influence, right, that are saying, if you want to get ahead, you need to do X, Y, and Z, right? Like they wanted you to change your colors. And now it's like, let it live, let you be you. And I think that's, as you see society change, they've become more accepting, but it is a significant hurdle. And quite frankly, that's, I wouldn't say damaging to a young girl to have to do that, but it does make you reflect and be like, I don't want her to ever have to feel like that. And then here you are championing the other side of that for these young girls so they don't have to go through what you had to go through.
Yeah. And I think that has what transcended really into my broadcasting career. Because you asked me, what's something in my broadcasting career similar that I've had to deal with. And when I first started doing it, I was very nervous. Just in general, having a public profile online, like what are people going to say? What are they going to message me? Putting yourself out there in any form of broadcasting, whether it's motorsports, if it's basketball, if it's football, you are put in the spotlight, you're put on the spot, and we're all going to mess up. We are all human. That's natural. But as a woman, you messing up is more of a bigger deal. You can't mess up. You're not given that grace. So I knew from the beginning, I'm like, man, I got to be perfect every single time, which is impossible. Nobody is. So when I first started to do this was 8 years ago, I'm like, okay, I'm making my website, I'm making all my social medias, I'm putting myself out there. And I found myself almost doing the same thing again. I'm like, okay, but like at the track, let me just wear the all black. Like, let me just wear what everybody else is wearing. It'll be fine. Like, I'll do my job, but I'll just kind of fly under the radar. And then I finally got to the point and I got more confident in what I was doing in broadcasting. And I go, you know what? I'm never going to fly under the radar. I don't fly under the radar. I stick out like a sore thumb. So I'm going to wear what I want to wear. Obviously professional. We're going to keep it in the grounds. But it's like, if I want to wear an all red business suit, I'm going to wear an all red business suit because I want to wear it. I already stick out. This is who I am. This is what I like. And embracing that and getting past it. I've gotten so many messages over the 8 years of people that maybe don't like what I do or think that I should be wearing what I'm wearing or being at the track. But it's like, I am a professional. I am knowledgeable. I love my job, and this is who I am. You don't have to like me, but like extending the respect out to people, I think is the most important thing of understanding what they're out there doing. And like, hey, I'm sorry that I'm not a boy in this position. Maybe you wanted to see a boy, but I'm just as knowledgeable as he is.
Totally. How did you manage that mentally? I mean, Megan and I talk, even on this show, right? Like somebody has something to say about what you have to say, or you wear, or you want to talk about. I struggle with it. I have always struggled with it. I know Megan and I talk about this a lot of how do you not let the noise, right, get inside and create something inside yourself that shouldn't be there. How do you manage that being on air? You know, you're an on-air personality. People are watching you all the time. And, you know, again, there's a lot of people that have something to say. How do you manage that mentally for yourself?
You know, I'm not great at it all the time. I cry and I could, complain to my family or my boyfriend about it. And it's just like, well, everybody likes coffee a different way. I'm just maybe not what they were looking for. And that's okay. I'm my own type of coffee, and people that like this type of coffee will like it. If they don't, that's not my fault. Yeah. And I know that every time I am on screen, anytime I do a broadcast, I did the homework. I put my best foot forward and I left everything on the table. I just try to show up and be the best that I can be. If they didn't like my coffee that day, I'm sorry, but I really did the best I could.
Yeah. I love that.
I don't know if that's the best advice.
No, it is. It is.
Yeah. It's so good. And I love that too, just for like young women who are looking up to you, because I feel like you don't realize how many, women are like, I want to be Jacklyn one day. And I think you like going through your process into being now on air, what advice would you give to those young women? Like what maybe skill sets do they need to know to get into the role that you're in today? What did you take any specific courses? But just kind of something that can help lead those young women who want to be the next Jacklyn, but the next themselves as well.
For me, when I went to college, I ended up getting a degree in science. And then I started working in marketing and motorsports. I did all different types of jobs within side of NASCAR. When I decided to do broadcasting, I'm not coming forward with the broadcasting degree like many people are. So I really did the research. I hired coaches that went over my tapes every single week. I would give them my videos. We would go through them. They would tear me apart. And we still do that to this day. But it's just always wanting to better yourself. If you have a dream or a goal in mind, I think it's just figuring it out how you can get to that point. There's many things that I haven't done yet that I still want to do. So it's hard to hear like when people, like what you're saying, Megan, are looking up to me. It's like, well, I haven't done everything I want to do yet. But I think the biggest thing that I just try to tell people is like, go after what you want, whatever it is, and figure out how to achieve that, and figure out, okay, yesterday I did XYZ. Did I do anything that's towards the goal that I want? And if you didn't, then you need to change that, because every day you should be making a decision that's going to get you to where you want to be and bettering yourself. At least that's what I do. And that's kind of what helped me just become a better professional. Again, I didn't have like the broadcasting experience. So I just went out and figured out, hey, how can I get it? I volunteered. I offered up free services to people to get that first demo reel that then did get me a job that they paid me for. So it took a lot of time, and it still takes a lot of effort. It doesn't end today and it won't end tomorrow. But I definitely think just doing the research and doing the work is really what sets you apart from everyone else. If it was easy, everybody would do it.
Mm-hmm. Now, I think it's also so interesting of, you know, when, especially for these young girls who are like, okay, I don't know how to get where I want to go. And what you hit on was just get experience. Put yourself in a place to get experience, to create a conversation, and be curious. And I think, you know, you didn't go to school for broadcasting, right? But you are in a place of influence and power over these younger girls. So it is a testimony, right? Of like, I didn't know this is where I wanted to go. I just tried things. I did things. I learned things. I gained more experience that then led me to where I'm able to have purpose and thrive. And I think there's so much pressure, especially for young girls and young guys, to have it all figured out. And it's like,
yeah,
you don't have to. I mean, yes, you need to probably have a plan and like a dream and a goal. Don't just be out here floating in the wind. Like, you know, what am I going to do? Like a wet paper towel, like have something that you want to achieve. But what for you has been a highlight of your career in broadcasting, and what has been something that was a moment that challenged you, or I don't like to call it a low moment. So like a challenging moment that might have made you question, is this really what I'm supposed to be doing?
Yeah, I'm going to start with the high moment. You know, we'll start with the good. So when I got hired for my job at NASCAR, that was in 2021. I had been doing a lot of the same things previously before in different areas of motorsports. And I didn't even know that there was a job position open. I got a call. It was from a guy that worked at NASCAR, and he said that there was a job opening. He got to know me for about 30, 45 minutes, and I'm on the phone. I'm thinking, man, he's spending a lot of time talking to me here. Like, I don't know what you know, he wants exactly. But at the end of the conversation, he goes, we have this job role. I think you should apply for it. And I'm thinking, all right, yeah, I'll go ahead and do it. And fast forward, I ended up getting the job. I got the full-time role, which is where I am today. And for me, that was when I was like, wow, this is a high moment. I am hired and employed by this organization that I used to watch as a kid, that I used to look up to as a kid. I walked into NASCAR and I have a desk with my name on it. That's wild. I came from a small town in Texas. Why am I here is what's going through my mind. I feel like I'm an imposter in my own life. But then you think about, okay, all the years of the hard work that you put in, you think, oh man, this was all for nothing. Well, actually it wasn't all for nothing, because then I'm sitting down at my desk with my name on it inside the high rise in Charlotte, North Carolina. So I think that all worked out, and that was definitely the best moment for me.
I love that. Yeah, I think sometimes you go through life and you're like, people always say, oh, you're so lucky. And it's like, no, I worked my ass off to get here. Like, there were moments I was crying and didn't want to do this and went home and was like, I'm done, it's over. And then there's moments where I'm like, this is why the hard was really hard, because it pushed me to get, kind of where I want to go. I think it's interesting. You said there's a guy that told you needed to apply for a job. I am all about celebrating men that lean in for women, right? I think it's an unspoken hero of someone who pushed you to go outside of your comfort zone. Who was that? Can you share who it was?
Yeah, his name is Dan. He's actually my manager now, Dan Barker. Okay. He was the one who somebody had recommended me to him as a potential. And so he had reached out to me and we spoke. And he, to this day, is by far the best boss I've ever had. He's so supportive and helps me push to be better in my current role with NASCAR. Very thankful for him. And I've learned so much from him. He has a thick resume. He's done so many great things. So it's not always like that, to your point, Kate. Like there are people and, managers that you might run into in your career that aren't going to be supportive or maybe not the best leaders. So when you do have somebody that is, it's really important to learn from them and lean in on those that are going to advocate for you.
For sure. I had a girl tell me last week, I was speaking at a school, and she said that there was a guy, basketball agent, that came in and spoke before, and he told them that you have to, and I didn't agree with it. I don't even know who said it, but he told them that you're only as good as the person who's hiring you thinks you are. And I said, I can find some truth in that, but I also think you're taking one person's opinion and letting it define you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's sad for me to have these girls be like, only he gets to decide if I'm good enough for this, or only that lady does, or whoever's hiring you. And it's like, you might not be their cup of coffee, or you know what? They might not be your cup of coffee. Let's be honest. Yeah. It is a two-way street here from that. Right. What has been one of the best fan experiences you've had?
Best fan experience. Oh, there's so many. I just had a guy come up to me last week, and I was just at a local dirt track by our house called Millbridge Speedway, and he came up to me and he stopped me. He was an older man. He goes, "Are you Jacklyn?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, I remember you from 5 years ago at Greenville Pickens Speedway." He's like, "You were up in the stands and you were on the mic interviewing us fans. And I remember you interviewed this little boy and you asked him how old he thought you were, and he thought you were 52. And I said, "Yep, I remember that day. That was a fun day." And for me, it's like, wow, like this guy remembered me going up in the stands, interacting with the fans from 5 years ago, and this conversation that I had with another young fan. And that's where I realized what we do, what you guys do in sports is special. Because when we interact with fans, when we're on the broadcast, when we're telling reports and telling stories, those things are memorable. People are taking those back. I'm showing up for work, but they're taking back what I said or what I did that made them laugh, that made them smile, that brought interest to them. They're taking that back home and they're remembering that for years.
Yeah.
And it made me pause for a minute. I'm like, you know what? Thank you so much for stopping me and saying hi to me and reminding me of the fun that we had that day. Because I think that when we turn off the camera and we walk away and we go back home, we're like, oh, that was just another great day at work. But actually, no, it was making memories.
Yes. I love that. Okay. Well, when can Megan and I come to a track? Like, Megan, we're taking this show on the road.
Yes.
And, I want to go. I want to be in a car. I want to do the NASCAR experience. I want to, how do we get in the pace car? Can we get in the pace car? Can you hook up?
I'm sure we can figure that out somehow. Absolutely.
Like, I want to be in the pace car. Like, gentlemen, start your engines. Like, Megan and I need that moment in life. We're not celebrity enough to get that, but that would be iconic to be like,
it really would.
Start your engines from her table. I'm here for it, but I want to come see you live in action. I want to see you race, first of all, because I literally want to sit with my headset on and listen to what you have to listen to. I want to come see you in action out there and have that NASCAR experience and just be with a fly on the wall with you. So let us know where we can meet you, and we're in it.
I would love that. I would love for you guys to come to a race, and we'll make the experience worthy. We'll get you around the cars, maybe in the cars. We'll figure out something, but we definitely need to. Megan, it's time for you to re-up your NASCAR experience from way back when.
Megan, we might need to get some tracksuits. Like, we need like the car suit. We got to make her table, like, the suits with a helmet. Like, I think production, we need to go all in on this and just...
I'm with you. I would love to. I really need to I watched a movie recently. It was I don't even know what it was. It was on Netflix and it was so good. It was about this, like, these video gamers that were all, like, driving, and then one of the guys ends up going and, like, driving on the road. It wasn't like NASCAR, but it was Like,
Here's
almost
the
like
driver though that did that. Oh my
yeah,
gosh,
this
I
is based
remember.
off a true story. So I saw that and I'm like, wow, this is so cool. Yeah, I was like, this is so cool. So
He learned how to drive on the gaming system. I just watched
Mm-hmm.
the show on Netflix because NASCAR has this like behind the scenes stuff, and he learned how to drive at home on a simulator.
That's
And
William
now he's a
Byron.
NASCAR.
Yep.
yes, that's
Yeah.
it. Yeah. So
So
cool.
Megan, there's hope for us. We need to get the like simulator and get it. Megan and I are going to be at like some putt golf, race car go-kart place, and we're going to be. That'll be our vision. We'll be in our full suits and helmets and like some
There we go.
electric go-kart in Vegas. We got to do it. Jacklyn, isn't there a NASCAR experience in Vegas?
Yes, there is.
Okay,
So that could be cool.
July, we're gonna be there in person for
All
NBA
race.
Summer League. Come out, let's go to the track, and we're gonna have like a race day. Like we need to make this happen. I'm gonna work on it.
I love this. Megan's like half sure, half unsure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you can talk about it. Like, yeah. Scared, but yeah.
We won't be going 200 miles an hour. Me and Megan will be going like 5.
Well,
Don't
fun.
worry. No one get excited. We'll do the like kiddie version. Don't do it. Oh my gosh. Well, I've loved sharing your story. I love what you're doing, and I love how passionate you are about the sport you're in, because it's something you grew up in, and to watch somebody grow up in something and then now be able to have influence in it is so, so magical. I mean, you have been exactly where every kid you're meeting and watching you has been, and you're an inspiration to them to continue on and fall in love with a sport that is undeniably one of the best sports and fan access, hands down.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that, Kate. And that's something that I do take a lot of pride in. Whenever I see fans, it's like, I've been there, I've done that, I've walked in your shoes, like I know what it feels like. And giving people the time of day for them to share their story of where they're traveling from and where they, have never been to these tracks, or who their favorite drivers are, or getting them to love motorsports and sharing that for everyone else, I think is really important. And then I also just take great pride in being an outreach for women. When I was growing up, I didn't necessarily have anybody that I could reach out to that could help me on this journey, either in the driver's seat or whenever I was starting this broadcasting career. I didn't have a ton of women or really people that I just thought, hey, like, I could reach out to them and they can give me advice. So I always want to be that person that people don't feel bad about. It's like, hey, message me, hit up my Instagram, hit up my social medias. I try to answer as many questions as I can, as many messages. Some people will fill out my contact form on my website. And I really just want to be a good advocate for the next generation and for the next players that are going to come up, because I'm not going to, be around on this earth forever. So I just want people to realize that I'm here to help, and anything we can do to just grow the world of sports. That's what I'm here for.
I love that. Well, you have 2 new fans. I mean, I was already a fan before this, but now we're bringing Megan along.
Oh, yeah.
We are in it to win it. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. I loved sharing your story. I cannot wait to watch you. And now I'm going to be tuning in just to find you. So we're gonna have to get you a her table outfit to wear one day when you're out reporting. Please. That would be so amazing.
Thank you both so much for having me. I know we've been trying to do this for a while, and I'm a big fan of the show. So thank you for having me. Anytime that we can get back together, I'd love to have it. And I appreciate all the support.
We're there. Drinks on us after the race. Yep. So I'm calling dibs on Jacklyn, though, by the way, is my pit. What is it called? You're not the pit
spotter.
Anything that's in my ear being like, you're going to,
spotter. Yeah.
I can be my spotter. Yeah.
There we go.
So
okay.
We'll see.
Yeah. We'll flip a coin. One of us will win. One of us will lose. It's fine. It's fine. Well, thank you so much.
Thanks, Jacklyn.
Thank you.
All right, Megan, Jacklyn is just, honestly, it's so impressive to me that she, not only is she working in a male-dominated industry, she is a huge fan of motorsports. And she grew up racing, watching it, being at it. I mean, she was at her first race, 6 weeks old, in the Bjorn, ready to go. It's in her blood. And she is now getting to share that same thing with fans now that she gets to come across. So it's it's powerful for me to watch someone draw passion for what they do because they love the sport they're working in, but also they love the experience they had. They want to continue to pay that forward. Like 6 weeks, girl, on a track, like, come on. And she's never looked back. She's been in sports her whole life. She could literally say that, Megan, her whole life.
I love that. And you can tell like how passionate she is about her work because she actually was a race car driver. Yeah. And just talking to Jacklyn about how she was, if not the only female amongst men, and she's racing against all these little boys growing up, trying to fit in with them, trying to fit in with other girls. And then she's competing against them. I just think that's so like incredible and special and a huge testament to her. And it was, it's very interesting when she started talking about how she used to wear pink and purple and her car was that color. And then she shifted to red and black so she could blend in with the boys. And it's, for us hearing that now, you kind of like, wow, it's so sad that, someone so young, a young girl had to almost like camouflage herself just so she could fit in. And obviously from that experience, she's grown so much and it's translated into the broadcast world where she's wearing what she wants to wear because that's staying true to herself. And I just love that about her.
I loved her little insights of like what goes in, like how much goes into training and how she had to do so much training to be a driver, but like from the pit crew to the spotter, we just see the driver. We don't see the 30-man or woman, crew behind them working on the cars, working up at the bird's nest. Like you don't know any of that. And we're going to NASCAR, girl. We are at her table right now. We're going to NASCAR. I'm manifesting it. We're going to get our own little jumpsuits. Maybe we should pick our crew. Oh, that would be fun. Who are we going to get a little cute crew going? Get a crew going in Vegas. So we are going to go to the track. We're going to go. It's a race, Her Table race, NASCAR experience brought to you by Her Table. I'm sure production would love that. We can live feed that. I'm sure they'll make it a whole episode of us. That would be amazing. Well, thank you guys so much for joining Her Table. I love that we get to share these stories of these amazing women thriving in their purpose in sports. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, follow along, tune in, and thank you so much for making us a part of your week every week here on Her Table. We'll see you guys soon.